Welcome to the Brad and Taylor Show. Today we have Ashley Smith.
You're listening to the Brad and Taylor Show, a podcast that inspires entrepreneurs to pursue their passions. We're sitting down with some of the best to learn how they got started and some lessons they learned along the way.
Hey, Ashley.
Hi, how are you?
We're good. How are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's get this started. Tell us a little bit about you. What do you do?
Well, I recently started doing real estate full time. Prior to that, I was working part time as a realtor along with my husband, who is my partner. We work together as a team. So I used to, prior to that, worked in lending and purchasing land contracts, but I loved real estate, being a realtor and getting a chance to work with customers so much that I decided to make it my full-time endeavor back in June. And that it's been a great time so far.
Nice. I like it. I like it. So when you were younger, how'd you, is this what you wanted? Is this what you had planned?
No, I think when I was a kid, maybe I wanted to be like a fashion designer or work with dinosaurs. But about a decade ago, I started working in property management as a leasing specialist, and really loved helping people find the right place for them to spend their lives. It's such a unique opportunity to be helping people find the place that they're going to spend the majority of their time and where they're going to have their life and their home, their family revolve around. So I really loved property management and got my real estate license when I became a property manager, went from leasing to property manager, and have just kind of been in the real estate industry in some aspect since then.
Yeah, and I'm sure that background with the property management helped you for when you started, when you got your real estate license too. That way you had everything kind of already know what was going on, just a little bit at least. So, you know.
Yeah, a lot of it overlaps. You see helping people find the right place for them. And you look at comparative market analysis quite a lot, and staging homes is something, and marketing homes is a lot. So there were a lot of things that just helped me move right into my career as a realtor. That's
awesome. So when you, when was the turning point when you're like, I'm just going to go be an agent?
Actually, I decided to, I had my real estate license already, but in January of 2020, I decided to, I'm going to do this part-time, see how it goes. Because my husband had been a realtor in the 2000s, but he had taken a break, and he had told me a little bit about his experience. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. And then COVID hit.
Right.
And right when I got my license, I was like, wow, this is tough. But thankfully I had the ability to kind of jump in a little bit more hands-on once the COVID restrictions lifted back up. And I was like, wow, I love this. This is so much fun. So.
Yep.
How did your first transaction go? I know you had background with the market. So how did that first one go? Was it easy? Did you have everything
it was actually a co-op, which apparently is incredibly difficult. I had no idea. So I had one of the toughest transactions as my first closing. But I think it went pretty smoothly considering. So
lots to learn. I learned a lot. Yeah. If anything, just take what you learned from it. Is there any advice that you got when you first started out in real estate, even when you were back in property management and doing that just kind of stuck with you throughout the years?
Just really building relationships, to not be so much into like the sales aspect and being pushy to people, but to listening to what people need, respecting their timelines, respecting their space, and building that relationship with them is going to make you so much more successful and better, able to serve your clients in the long run.
That's awesome. So over the years, what is the worst property you've been to or showing? Which one stands out?
So actually it's probably the first property I got under contract, but not the first property that I sold. Was a trailer in Onondaga that just had been abandoned and foreclosed on, and it was falling apart, and it was going for like $10,000, and I had to show it through the phone because the investor was in Florida. And I'm like, I have no idea how I make this look presentable over the phone. I had to crawl through, I wore a suit thinking I'm going to look real professional, and I had to crawl through like 3-foot high grass. And I was like, this was a terrible idea. But he actually ended up buying it. So it worked out pretty well. And it looks amazing now. I drove by it. And he's really, I'm sure the neighbors are very grateful that he purchased it.
Yeah.
Complete different now, right?
Yeah. Looks great.
Do you have any goals that you want to finish up for this year and going into the next one?
This year has just been kind of a crazy whirlwind. My husband and I, have just decided for me to go full time in real estate in June. So, our goal was just to have that transition, go very smoothly, and then start January, just both of us doing it full time. So, we're just trying to survive this year, which is working out really well. Better than we had hoped when we were taking the leap to both be realtors instead of me working at the bank. So I'm just trying to get through this year, and that's going really well.
I know earlier you mentioned building relationships is so important. What do you think is the best way for you to build relationships with your clients?
I think the biggest thing is listening to them, listening to what they're looking for, what their needs are. And sometimes that can be, you can feel like it's counterproductive to your goals. If they're like, I'm not looking to buy till next year, but you're like, it's really great interest rates and you really should just buy right now. And, but I think, giving them all the information and then respecting what they're saying and then keeping in touch, I think are the biggest things that you can do to build those relationships. Let them know that you haven't forgot about them, but you understand it's still not the right time for them. Just making sure that you're listening to what they need.
If there's a time frame, I know you kind of mentioned like a client maybe who isn't ready this year, who wants to purchase next year, but you see the perfect house that they're describing that they want. Do you send that anyways? Like, hey, just want to remind you, just stay in touch. I found this one. Or what do you do with that? Because you don't want to pass it up if that's their perfect home.
Yeah, I still send it.
Okay.
Actually, this happened with a condo on Friday. We have a client that's like kind of looking, but thinking he might move to Flint, and they're having a baby and they don't want to make any exchanges, but this is literally everything that he's
describing. Yeah.
Yeah. Because he doesn't want to mow lawns, so he really wants a condo. And I was like, this is so perfect. So I just sent it anyway. I was like, hey, I know you're not looking right now. This just seemed perfect. So I thought I would just send it just in case. And he was receptive to it. He's like, thanks, I'll take a look at it. He wasn't like, stop bothering me. I really think it's all in the approach. Like, instead of going, you need to move on this right now, you're never going to find a better home. Like, it's just really letting them know, like, you've heard them, but just in case you're sending this. So,
yeah.
Okay, awesome. If you could start over today, what is one thing that you do differently?
I know real estate or in life?
In real estate. I guess you could go both ways, whatever way you want to go with that.
I think that I would take it very seriously. You get a lot of advice when you first start to reach out to your sphere of influence and to reach out to everybody that you know, and you feel like you're being pushy by doing that. And so you don't always. But I'm amazed at how many people I found later on that was like, oh, I wish I would have known that you were selling real estate because I just went with somebody random. And so even though I felt like it would be pushy, so I didn't do it, I actually feel like it would have been beneficial to me and people that knew my work ethic and have worked with me before and would have been more comfortable working with somebody they know and trust already through other relationships. So I think that's the one thing that I would have done differently is reached out a little bit more when I started, because I was part-time too. I wasn't sure how much time I would have and things like that. So I didn't really tell everyone. And now I'm like, oh, I wish I had done that.
I know I've heard a lot of people say that. Brad and I have talked to quite a few agents over this last year, and a handful of people have said the same thing. I wish I would have reached out more to my people that I already know. But at that same time, there's that fear, like you mentioned, that you're being too pushy and that you might push somebody away because of that. But you're not alone in that. I've heard a lot.
Yeah. And I now that I've started doing it, when I went full time, I was like, okay, I really need to do this if I'm going to be successful. The response that I got, like, none of them were negative. Some people were like, thanks, I'll keep that in mind. Or thanks. I had one friend that was like, you do remember that my sister's a realtor, right? And I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot. But she thought it was hilarious. She wasn't offended by it. So it just, people, as long as you're approaching it in a respectful way and not, again, that pushy salesperson way, and just saying, hey, I'm just letting you know, and I'd appreciate it if you consider me in the future if you need somebody or you know somebody that needs somebody. I don't feel like you ever get any real negativity from doing that.
Speaking of reaching out to your sphere of people around you, what's the best way for you to reach out, do you think? Do you do like social media to let people know that you're in the business, or do you pick up the phone and you make those calls? How do you let people know?
That's a great question. And I have always been of a philosophy in customer service and in sales is that no client or customer is the same. And I feel that way with leads and with reaching out to the people that you already know. So it kind of just depends on the relationship I have. We do use social media a lot, but if they are a person that I've been contacting through that I know from social media, then I would maybe reach out to them through like Facebook Messenger. But if it's somebody where I have their phone number in my phone and we've texted on a regular basis, then to me, texting or calling, or if I know they're a person that just hates it when people call them, they're a little, there's introverts that are like, I don't answer the phone and don't bother leaving a message, just text me. Those are the people that I'm going to text. So I try to remember these things about the people that I know and reach them the way that I feel like is going to make the biggest impact or get the information to them. So
awesome. Before we go today, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, they can give me a call at 517-574-9902. We are on Facebook, Ashley and Ryan Smith at Community Realty. And then we have our email address, which is arsmith.realestate@gmail.com.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for coming on and sharing your story with us today.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. It was great.
Are these working?
All right.
Here we go.
Oh, there we go. I think they're working. Should we tell them?
Mine keeps falling. It doesn't like my voice.
What do we got to tell them?
Subscribe.
Subscribe? What do we got to point at? Hey, I think there's a subscription button. Like
it might be there.
It might be right there too.
Somewhere.
Find
it. It's red.
Yeah. And red. It's blue. It's green. I don't really know.
It's a color.
This mic isn't even attached. Did you plug these in? Well, I guess.
I wonder if they can hear us.
Yeah, I wonder if they hear us. Well, we should probably tell them if they can hear us. We should probably tell them also give us a 5-star review for listening on Apple. That'd be cool.
5 stars, guys.
Share it with everybody they can think of.
We won't take 4 stars.
I mean, I don't even think these are on. I mean,
I don't think this is working.
This is not working.